Welcome to the Longbox Paradox, episode 29. Going to be going over a couple of curated reviews this week of some books that kind of caught my eye interest. I'm going to start out with Image Comics, Ascender number 3. Ascender number 3 picks up on the world building of the world post-Descender, and we're with Andy and Mila as they are getting ready to go on the run, and it starts intercutting to back in the past where the Harvesters attack at the end of Descender, where Andy and Effie went, and her revealing her pregnancy with Mila, and how as they're out, they jump to where the original Descender started, where we met Tim and Andy and the family for the first part, and Effie has Mila, and they notice more and more that the UGC, there's no communications in the relays more and more. And as they're in the outpost, all of a sudden, like, space dragons appear and start attacking. And then vampires appear, and they show what happened to Effie, why she's no longer with the family. While in the present day, as they're running, this giant ogre starts chasing after them, attacking them, and Bandit all of a sudden just clicks to life with this message to protect them and unleashes this blast. This issue did a great job of kind of starting to fill in the blanks between Descender and Ascender, what went on during the time jump. Doesn't really reveal how the magic comes to taking over the universe, so to say, but it's a heartbreaking issue. It really is. It punches you right in the feels, and you don't really expect it to start and hit you like it does, but just downright fantastic. Lemire and Nguyen do a fantastic job with this universe, and it's always top of my list when it comes out, of my read list, of my pile. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. Pacing was really good in it. It not really any slow points, at least to the point where nothing's happening, because even when it slows down, it's always serving the story to move it along and tell you something. Nguyen's art just works perfectly for this story. It's a buy. If you haven't read it, buy Descender. You can read Descender without having read Descender, but I recommend just going and reading all of Descender. Fantastic book, fantastic read, great creative team. So from there, we're going to move on to the book that it feels like DC's ashamed that it publishes. So as we all know, Batman Damned #1, it had a little bit of controversy because Batman's shadowy cock was shown. And DC flipped the fuck out and all of a sudden started imposing rules and changes on what's going to be in the Black Label imprint now. There was language restrictions. Bermejo had to redraw sections of issue 2. And then issue 3 was probably heavily edited. I haven't heard as much about what was going on with that, other than this book has been resolicited, and it's a shame because they were told they can do what they want, and it's an adults-only book imprint. And then DC flips out, and now we have this book that DC literally did nothing to even promote that it was coming out. And it's a shame because, for me, I like Azzarello's writing. It does tend to be hit and miss for me. But I am here for Lee Bermejo's art. And Batman Damned #3, Bermejo has some pages in here that are just gorgeous. His art isn't what you'd call pretty. It's grimy, but the detail put into every panel is fantastic. This story in general, we have Batman with John Constantine. Constantine's wearing a Robin domino mask, or not even domino mask, but a little Robin mask over his eyes. We have one of the scariest Swamp Things I've seen. Azzarello does a good job of writing the interactions between Constantine and Swamp Thing. It starts kind of pulling back the onion of what's been going on in this story, because it's kind of been a mystery, sort of what's going on with the, Batman, the magical world here. We get Zatanna, Deadman, the Spectre at one point. This is one of those stories, though, I think I have to go back and read all 3 in a row to see if I missed something, because the gaps in between the issues coming out, to say the least, has been frustrating, especially for a book that only has 3 issues coming out. The story was hard for me to follow in this, just because I couldn't remember a lot of what happened in past issues. So it's going to warrant a reread for me, and that kind of affects it a little bit of my grade on this. Bermejo's art is beautiful, even with kind of my confusion at some of the story. Bermejo's art is worth the $7.99. He's just fantastic. And again, it's a shame that this book kind of got drowned because of Batman's cock. And it was a shadowy cock, too. There is a Shyamalan twist at the end where once you figure it out, I was both annoyed and then had an aha moment of, oh, okay, now this all makes sense of why all this crap's happening. So I'm going to give this a 7, and it's only because I had trouble following the story because I couldn't remember what happened in the past issues. It's more of a me problem than I think the actual book problem. Bermejo, again, beautiful, beautiful art. His Zatanna even was fantastic. And then having the oversized pages like is presented in this format for the Black Label just lets the art breathe. And just the detail put into every page makes me appreciate his art more and more. Again, DC did a disservice by neutering these creators and having them have to redo these pages, and it angers me. I've had issues with DC during the Didio era for a while, and it kind of keeps continuing. But don't let that hold you back from checking out this book. I do recommend just reading all 3 in a row, because if you're just picking this one up raw after not reading the other ones, it's kind of, you're going to forget a bit. And gonna move on to my 3rd title of the week, and this is my morbid curiosity book for the week, because I really wanted to see how Major X was gonna end. This was a Liefeld drawn, written book for this issue at least, and it's about what I was expecting. It comes off as a greatest hits of Liefeld story where we have Deadpool, we have Dreadpool, we have Cable, we have Beast, all the 90s X-Men because of the time travel, the future Earth Namor riding a sea serpent, just a bombastic battle, splash pages galore. It is weird. Growing up, I was a huge fan of Liefeld's work, and the way it's kind of mutated, evolved over the years, it doesn't seem as crisp as it was then. Maybe it's just because everything's much more computerized now, and maybe he changed a bit of his inking style, and the coloring. It always just seems like a little bit rougher than it was and not as smooth. It could be more of me just noticing it more with the better paper that's used these days and the evolved processes. I think my taste in comics has changed, where I have a feeling the high school me that was reading these books would have just adored this book, but now my palette has changed. and I don't get that same enjoyment like I used to. I've seen people say that they love this book because it's bringing back the 90s. And I think what bothered me now thinking about the 90s and all the money I spent on just useless books was that it was all style and no substance. And I get that same vibe from this book, that it's all style, it's all flash, but the soul behind the story isn't there. It's you could read this book real fast and really not have it impact you at all. It's not a think piece. It's just, look at this, look at this, look at this. This happens, that happens. Oh, wait, this is happening now too. I'm speaking as someone, like, I really respect Rob Liefeld. He's a little bit bombastic at times and kind of cocky, but he's earned that right to be that way. I'm gonna give this a 5. I mean, he's introduced a new cog in the X universe that might end up continuing, but at the same time, I don't get anything out of this book as a read. It's just, again, a lot of flash, no substance. And I wanted to try and like it. It just wasn't working for me. It's just kind of average. Again, don't let anything I say affect your enjoyment of it. Everybody looks at art differently, and for me, this just didn't work for me. Again, like, we all have our own opinions. I could like something that you absolutely despise, and I respect your opinion on that. Just I hope you respect mine. With that being said, it was kind of a hearty week for reads. I haven't gotten Action Comics yet. I'm really looking forward to reading Flash when I get a chance. I got my books late today, so I wanted to at least make sure I got this video out before I went into work, or at least shot. I hope you had a great day of hunting at the comic stores and you got what you were looking for. If not, many wonderful online retailers to check out before you end up going to eBay. And comment, like, share, subscribe, and thank you for your time joining me. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.